We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Aleph Amid Aleph in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 31a. The Mishnah says, Hanoder Mishov say Shabbos. Let's say someone takes a neder not to benefit from those who rest on Shabbos. Aser b'Yisrael ve'aser b'Kusim. He's aser to get benefit from Jewish people, and he's aser also from the Kusim. Those are the Samaritans. They kept Shabbos, they rested on Shabbos. Me'ochle shum, let's say a person says he's not going to get benefit from those who eat garlic on the night of Shabbos. So aser b'Yisrael ve'aser b'Kusim. Again, he's prohibited to get benefit from Jewish people and from the Kusim. They all eat garlic on Friday nights. Me'ole Yerushalayim, from those who go up, who ascend to Yerushalayim. So aser b'Yisrael, he's aser to get benefit from Jewish people. Mutter b'Kusim, but he's mutter to get from the Kusim, from the Samaritans, because they did not worship in Yerushalayim. They worshipped at Har Grizim. And the Mefarish over here says, Me'ochle hashum beleile Shabbos. We're talking about eating the garlic on Friday night. Aser b'Yisrael the Yisrael regilin le'echol shum. The reason why they would eat garlic is mimne'ona, because there's a mitzvah to have relations, and the shum was considered good for the act of relations. The aser b'kusim sheim nami ochlim shum beleile Shabbos. Kusim also, they would also eat the garlic on the night of Shabbos. And the Mefarish says, Mutter b'kusim, when it comes to Yerushalayim, the kusim don't go to Yerushalayim, shein einan olam Yerushalayim, el Har Grizim. They don't go to Yerushalayim, they go to Har Grizim. And the Gemara says, Ma'ai shov say Shabbos. What does the term, those who rest on Shabbos, mean? Ilema mimikaime Shabbos. If it just means those who keep Shabbos, so Ma'ai irya b'kusim, why only the kusim? Afilu ovdei kochavim nami, even ovdei kochavim, even idol worshippers, they can in theory keep Shabbos, so if they keep Shabbos, they should also be included within the neder. So, elo mitzuvim ala Shabbos. Rather, you have to say that the Mishnah means those who are commanded about Shabbos. In other words, we mean to say, not only are Yisraelim commanded about Shabbos, so to the Kusim, we're considering them to be actual Gerim, actual converts, and they're also commanded about Shabbos, whereas Ovdei Kochavim are not commanded about Shabbos. But the Gemara says, if so, if the meaning of Shov say Shabbos is those who are commanded about Shabbos, let's understand, let's look at the Seif at the end of the Mishnah. Me'ole Yerushalayim, it says, from those who ascend to Yerushalayim, Aser b'Yisrael and Mutter b'Kusim, so he's prohibited to get benefit from Jewish people, but he's mutter to get benefit from the Kusim. But why should that be the case? But the Kusim are commanded to ascend to Yerushalayim. If we're saying that these terms has to do with whether it's a mitzvah or not, and we're saying that the Kusim are considered Gerim and they're considered Jewish, so they are mitzvah when it comes to Yerushalayim, so they should be included in Ole Yerushalayim. And so the Gemara answers, Amar Abaya says, Mitzvah ve'osa katani. The Mishnah means both that they're commanded and that they do the command, and that they keep the mitzvah. Betarti bavi kamaisa. So when it comes to the first two cases of the Mishnah, so Yisrael v'kusim mitzuvin v'yosin, Yisraelim and kusim, they are commanded and they keep Shabbos, and so therefore they're all included. But ovdei kochavim, but when it comes to the idol worshippers, hahu da'avdi osin ve'ena mitzuvim, even those idol worshippers who keep Shabbos, but they're not commanded, so they're not included. But ba'oli Yerushalayim, when it comes to ascending to Yerushalayim, Yisrael mitzuvin v'yosin, so Jewish people are commanded and they perform the mitzvah. But kusim mitzuvin ve'ena mosin, but kusim, they might be commanded to ascend to Yerushalayim, but they don't actually perform the mitzvah. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Konim she'eni nen livnei Noach. What if a person says a konim that he's not going to derive benefit from bnei Noach? So mutter b'Yisrael v'aser ba'ovdei kochavim. He's mutter to get benefit from Jewish people, but he's not allowed to get from idol worshippers. Bnei Noach only refers to the non-Jews. The Mefarish says, "She'ini nene livnei Noach, shelo yene mikol bnei Noach, shekol olam yatzmi bnei Noach." I'm not going to get any benefit from bnei Noach, which of course refers to all human beings, but does not include the Jewish people. And the Gemara says, "V'Yisrael minafik michlal bnei Noach." 1 second, the Jewish people, they're not included in bnei Noach. They're also bnei Noach. They're also descendants of Noach. But the Gemara answers, Kevon de Ikdish Avram Iskru al Shemei. Once Avraham had this holiness in the Chelak of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says in the Mefarish, so the Jewish people are called Bnei Avraham, and they're not called Bnei Noach, so they're not included within this neder. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, She'eni nene lezera Avram. If a person says, I'm not going to get benefit from the children of Avram, Aser b'Yisrael, so he can't get benefit from Jewish people, they are the children of Avram, Umutter b'ovdei kochavim, but he's mutter to get benefit from the idol worshippers, from the non-Jews, they are not considered children of Avram. And the Gemara says, Vayika Yishmael, but isn't there Yishmael? Yishmael is a child of Avram, but not Jewish. And the Gemara says, no, ki b'Yitzchak yikari l'chazar. The pasuk says that Yitzchak is really called your child. Yishmael is not called the child of Avram. Ksiv, that's what the pasuk says. Vayiko Esav, but what about Esav? Esav was a child of Avram and not Jewish. And the Gemara says, no, it says b'Yitzchak. With Yitzchak, v'lo kol Yitzchak. But not all the descendants of Yitzchak, meaning to say only one descendant of Yitzchak is considered a child of Avram. That, of course, is Yaakov. But Esav is not considered a child of Avram. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, She'eni nene mi Yisrael. Let's say a person takes a neder that he's not going to benefit from a Jew. So lokeach biyoser umocher bepachos. So then if he's going to buy from a Jew, he has to buy for more than it's really worth. That way he's not benefiting from the Jew. And if he's selling to the Jew, he has to sell it for less than it's worth. That way he's not benefiting from the Jew. She Yisrael nen and li. Let's say he says that Jews are not allowed to benefit from me. So then it's the opposite. Lokeach bepachos. If he buys from a Jew, he'll have to buy it cheaper than it's really worth, so that the Jew doesn't benefit from him. Umocher biyoser. And if he sells it to a Jew, he'll have to sell it for more than it's worth. So again, the Jew is not really going to benefit from him because the Jew is going to be overpaying in that situation. However, vein shomelo, no one's going to listen to him in this situation. No one's going to buy from him. No one's going to sell things to him less than it really costs, and nobody's going to buy things from him that are more than it really costs, and therefore there's no solution in terms of being able to do business with the Jewish people in this situation. She'eni nana lohen vehein li. Now let's say he says, I'm not going to benefit from them and they're not going to benefit from me. So now it's going in both directions. Now he can't do anything with Jewish people. So yehen ela ovdei kochavim. So he'll have to derive benefit back and forth with the non-Jews, but he won't be able to do anything with other Jews. And the Gemara says, Amar Shmuel says Shmuel, Halokayach kli min ha'uman. Let's say a person buys a kli, he buys a vessel from a craftsman, levakro, and he wants to inspect it. And the Mefarish over here says, "Halokech kli mi beis uman levakram yofe." He wants to see if it's a good kli. Yitin lo dama vim lav, and if it's a good kli, he'll pay him. Vim lav sheyachzer lo kelev, and otherwise he'll return it. Kamo klei zechuchis, for example, he wants to buy something that's glass, and he wants to inspect it. And in the course of inspecting it, levakro, in the course of inspecting it, vinenas biyado, there's an ones, and it breaks chayiv. In other words, the purchaser is chayiv at that point. He takes responsibility for the item. And the Gemara says, Alma, so you see from Shmuel, Kasavar Hanoas Lokeachi, that he holds that the purchaser, the person buying an item, really he's the one benefiting. In other words, if you have a sale in general, let's say you have something that is sold for market value, so who's the one that's really considered to be gaining? Is it the buyer or the seller? And it seems like Shmuel is saying the buyer is the one gaining, and that's why he's responsible for all onsim. The Mefarish over here says, the point is, when you have a sale, the purchaser is considered to be benefiting more than the seller. Therefore, it's the lokeach who's chayev, because since he's getting this benefit of the sale, he takes it upon himself to be chayev for anything that happens while he's inspecting it. He's like a nosei sachar, and he's chayev in onsin. And the Mesoras Hashas over here says, Higia velohav. It means to say, the Marsha says, it means to say he's not like a Shomer Sachar, but rather he's even more than a Shomer Sachar. He's someone that's chayiv in onsin, similar to a Shoel who's chayiv in onsin. In any case, you see from Shmuel that if there is a purchase and it's done in market value, the person doesn't pay more, doesn't pay less than it's really worth, the buyer is considered to benefit. That's what we mean, Hanas Lokeachi. And so the Gemara now asks from our Mishnah. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, She'eni nene mi Yisrael. If a person says, I'm not going to benefit from a Jew, so mocher repachos, so if he sells to the Jew, he has to sell less than it's worth. Avol shava b'shavelo, but apparently he's not allowed to sell it at market value in that situation. But the Gemara says, V'i hanos lokeachi, but one second. Let's say we're saying that when the buyer buys it at market value, he's the one that's considered to be benefiting and not the seller. So if that's the case, afilu shava b'shava, he should be able to sell it even at market value. In other words, if a person says, I'm not going to benefit from a Jew, so he should be allowed to sell something to a Jew at market value because he's not benefiting from the Jew, because it's the purchaser in that case who has the benefit according to Shmuel. And the Gemara answers, Masnisin bizvina de rami al ape. You're going to have to say that our Mishnah is talking about a situation where there's something that is difficult to sell. Literally, the term derami alape means it lies on his face. So it means to say we're talking about a situation where the person is selling something that is hard to sell, and therefore if he sells it at the market value, it actually is his benefit. It's the mocher's benefit in that situation. And that's why the Mishnah says that if a person says, I'm not going to benefit from a Jew, he's not allowed to sell something to a Jew at market value if it's something that's difficult to sell, because that would be considered benefiting. But the Gemara says, Imkain emo Reisha. But if that's the case, let's look at the Reisha. It says, Lokeach biyoser. It says that in that situation, he has to purchase things for more than they are worth. In other words, if a person says, I'm not going to benefit from a Jew, if he buys something from the Jew, so he has to buy it for more than it's worth. He's not allowed to buy it at market value. But why can't he buy it at market value if it is something that is difficult to sell, if that's what we're talking about? So let him buy it at market value in that situation, because that's a benefit to the seller. It's not a benefit to the buyer if it's something that people don't really want to buy. V'yod ema seifa, and furthermore, let's look at the end of the Mishnah. It says, She Yisrael nen li, let's say he takes a neder that other Jews can't benefit from me, they can't benefit from him, so then lokeach bepachos, if he buys from those other Jews, he has to buy it for less than it's worth, so they don't benefit from him. Umocher biyoser, if he sells to those Jews, he has to sell it for more than it's worth, so they don't benefit from him. But if it's something that people don't really want to buy, so afilu shava b'shava. So again, let him sell it at market value. He'll sell it at market value. It's something that the purchaser is not really gaining anything when he's buying it at market value, because it's something that people do not want. And so in that situation, the Jew is not going to be benefiting from him. And so the Gemara says, Seifa bezvina charifa. Well, you have to say the opposite. You'll have to say that the end of the Mishnah is talking about something which people really do want to purchase. And so therefore it is to the buyer's benefit if the buyer buys it at market value. And that's why it says if he takes a neder that other Jews are not going to benefit from him, the buyers are not allowed to buy it at market value. They actually have to buy it at more than the market value, so they're not benefiting from him. But the Gemara says if that's the case, if so, lokeach bepachos. But again, it said at the end of the Mishnah that in the case where a person says that Jews are not allowed to benefit from him, he has to buy it from those Jews at less than it's worth. Why can't he buy it at market value in that situation? Afilu shava b'shava, he should be able to buy it at market value, because we're talking about something that people really want to purchase. So if it's something that people really want to purchase, it's the lokeach's benefit, and it's not the seller's benefit. So why should it be lokeach bepachos? And so the Gemara finally explains the Mishnah, Ella rather, you have to explain the Mishnah as follows, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis.